Hello, this is Spinal Instrument Test, and got some material for you, kind of simplified. Some of these you'll find in the book, some are not. We'll start off with one that's in the book. It's described as a Taylor retractor. In the book, this mentions that it's a back retractor that you might have to make a loop out of either gauze, Curettes, make a loop and hang some weight. That's what the hook is here to hang weight on. It's called a Taylor retractor. They come in various sizes and depths. Number one. Another retractor, I'm sure you all know this one. It's a cerebellum or cerebellar retractor. Real good for neck surgeries. It's a little bit deeper than a standard Wheatlander. It's called a cerebellar retractor. You notice the angle. This one you may not see very much. This was probably an older style. It's a intervertebral spreader. Put it between the vertebrae, and it'll actually spread the vertebrae so you can access where the disc is. Put in bone graft if you need to fuse. Intervertebral spreader. They come in various lengths, also in depth. These are called nerve root retractors. This one is called a Holscher. The Holscher nerve root retractors have a loop handle. Depending on what's in your set, the doctor may just ask for a nerve root retractor. They're usually going to be deep. This is the Holscher. This one is called a Dorico nerve root retractor. Got some angles so that you can, when you position your hand and retract, you can actually get the hand out of the doctor's vision, so you're not over the spinal cord. Works real good on nerve roots too. Got a couple of forceps. Anytime you see one of these, it's got a plug in. I did not have a wire. It'll plug in. These are bipolar forceps. The energy is between the jaws and not radiated around the jaw. Only between the jaws. It works real good in close proximities to nerve. They're insulated usually, and just the tips are exposed, so nothing around the forceps is cauterized. This one, a singly forceps. Sometimes they use this to pack gauze or cottonoids where there might be some bleeding. A singly forceps, got the rings. Some people call it just a ring forceps or a ring tissue forceps. Also can be used for extracting or grabbing tumors in the brain. Good for that. Probably one you don't see a whole lot of. Some of the neurosurgeons use it. I know Dr. Fisher does. I don't know if y'all got a chance to work with him very much, but this is called a Pinfield Forceps. It's got almost like an arrow-shaped tip. Pinfield Forceps. And then I just brought a sample of a bayonet forceps. These can come in various tip sizes, from micro to something like this is just a smooth jaw. And they also do have a tooth bayonet forceps that you might see in ENT. You might see this one in ENT also. It's real nice because you can get your hand, or the doctor can get it out of his line of vision. Works real good under a microscope. Got a sample of several elevators. Of course, we all know the Cobb. This is just a more like a narrower Cobb elevator. Should have got that one from our orthopedic studies. And this one's probably one that you will see pretty often, even ENT, neuro, even hand surgery. It's a freer, double-ended freer, various sizes. This is kind of a medium size. There are smaller, some finer. May or may not know this one. It's acutely curved. It's called a Joker elevator. Some ENT, a lot of neuro, sometimes working around the faucets of the spinal column. Of course, you got your Pinfield elevators. Everybody's familiar, or most everybody's familiar with the Pinfield 4. Sometimes the cardiovascular surgeons might use this on a carotid endarterectomy to lift up the plaque off the carotid. So the Pinfield 4. And then there's some others, Pinfield 1, 2, and 3. And I have to cheat because I don't know them by heart. But they do have double ends and various other attachments, like this number 3 almost looks like a joker, but it's got a little scraping type rasp in the end on that one. The number 1 is almost looks like a curette with another freer end on it. And the number 2 is another little scraper with some fine teeth in it, and also a little bit bigger freer end to dissect nerve and everything else that might be pushed off the spinal column. This is just a standard nerve hook, blunt, square end nerve hook. A ball tip, double-ended ball tip probe, used to check and make sure that the nerve roots are free. There's enough space in the openings where the spinal or the nerve roots go through. Make sure they're not impinged. The dural separator, kind of the same thing. They might stick this up in a nerve root, make sure there's nothing impinging on the nerve root, make sure it's free. The doctor may want one a little bit bigger. This is called a grooved dural separator. Notice it's got a groove in it. Sometimes on the craniotomy, you can open this small incision and then follow it along with a 15 blade to open the dura. That's what the little groove is there for. Angled curettes of various sizes you're probably going to see in a spinal set. Scrape away some of the attachments, the ligamentum, free up some of the nerve roots with a little curette, and then there's also a ringed curette. And I know our neurosurgeon always like to have one of these available. There's in various sizes. It's a ringed curette. Suction tip that a lot of the doctors like to use is called a roton. It does have a thumb hole in it, and also it's got a guarded tip. If you notice the tip, rotons have that little extra material on the end. The roton suction tip. Lohmann Clamp. We might have seen this in orthopedic. Good for grabbing bone. This one they'll grab the spinous process. You usually have to remove the spinous process to get access to the spinal cord. So they might use this to grab the bone and cut it away. This one is called a dandy clamp. I've seen this in the book described as a hemostat. It does bend the other way, and notice that it's got teeth. So it's used to be in this fashion. The teeth is good for grabbing ligamentum in the spinal cord. Use a 15 blade to cut it out, or just to pull it out and then use a kerosene rongeur to bite it out with the dandy clamp. They do make this one in different sizes also. This is kind of a medium. I'm sure everybody's familiar with a Lexel rongeur. Pretty standard double action, meaning it's got 2 joints here, double action rongeur Lexel.